do it a little later on, and to kind of go through a few of the troubleshooting steps, and then that way I'll be up and running on here.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Is that sort of a Matt Patrick conversation, or I mean,
yes.
is that a very okay?
Yeah. So we could do that offline, you know, and not part of this call or anything.
Okay. I mean, I hope and
yeah, that works.
See how time plays out. The other thing is how the xAPI statement organizer. Matt, can you share that on your screen, or do I share that on my screen?
I think you can.
Okay.
Let me know if it won't let you, and I think I can make you a presenter. But
hey, could Allison, could you send Monique Head an invite? She just posted saying that she can't find a link. I think you have to explicitly invite her, is the deal.
Okay, yeah, she may not have been in that circle. I just sent it to the circle, so I'll see if I can add her directly.
Yeah, it's Monique Head, H-E-A-D.
Okay. There she is. Okay, so she should get that shortly.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, I'm glad you caught that.
So I just set you as a presenter, so you should be able to see your screen. I can see it.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm not really sure I'm the best person to walk us through this, but I can point out a couple things that have been changed since the last time we looked at it. Not that I necessarily know the implications of those changes. So one thing that Meg went through and worked on was what each of this checklist item type means in the context of Finbert. So tap an item to check it off is a photograph in our context. So this is the what am I trying to say? This is it in technical terms, sort of technical, I don't know, the very blah terms. This is it in a way that someone like a man on the street could understand it.
What I would call it is it's the activity type, right? And so checking off one is the activity type. Tapping a near field is a activity type.
Okay.
Checklist item type is fine too from a description, I think.
Okay, we're going to leave that because I don't know what that link was, and I don't want to disrupt Meg's work. So what Finbert sees on his checklist is this is the initial phrase or sentence that's always visible on the screen. This row 5, is what happens when he clicks the more, clicks the icon, whatever. I know that was kind of a discussion that we were having last week. Whatever we finally decide is the best way to show more information, this is the more information that he will see. So it gives like a little bit more clear directions. Enter number in the space below.
Oh.
Or use the space to summarize.
Go for it. I think that's good. But when I was thinking of the more button, I was thinking of it more in terms of, what do you need to do to actually complete this activity, right? So if it's a tap this device activity, the more button would show you, in order to complete this activity, tap the near field or click on the video or whatever. Like this piece of it, the way this is set up, this kind of seems like maybe it should be part of the main description. Or maybe there should be two. Maybe there should be two buttons, right? One for describing what the activity is and how you should complete it.
Okay, so
I think we could add some of that to this too, like for some of these. Let's see, where's one? Well, like the beacon one, it says a beacon will register your entrance and provide the next directions. We could just add a little bit to say once you get all of them, it will mark this item complete.
Right, and so the reason I was thinking about that is that as we add different activity types, or the person may just not understand what the activity is about, right? Like I wouldn't have known. It says that it'll register me when I walk in, the beacon will, but I mean I guess I didn't know that I would need to complete all the beacons or whatever. And then I think there should be just something generic around this is an activity where you have to complete one or more beacons, and then all right, so now I know it's a beacon activity type. You know what I mean? It's kind of
okay,
like
so this is I think we can do that. I also am looking at the user welcome, and we could put in something in that as well. Right now, the final directions just say, click on each item to learn more about the task, but we could add on to that sentence to make it more clear.
I
And then we
think so. Like
bring it up.
like I think of it in terms of an LMS. Like when you log into an LMS, you see that this is an online activity. This is an assessment activity. This is a whatever activity, and so it's just I guess this kind of just gives you an idea as to what to expect.
Yeah, maybe instead of two buttons, we could keep it as one section, but divide it into two chunks, so that they tap on it. There's two sections. One would be what type it is and what you need to do, and then the other is like just more information about specifics of like where you need to go and what you need to do. But then you can have both those pieces of information in one place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, and the generic activity types like beacon completion. I mean, that text will be duplicated throughout each of the beacon activities, right? It doesn't have to be custom for each one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how we should capture that. If that should be a a separate row, maybe.
Like in
Maybe
parts or somewhere where it's pulling it in.
well, that or just how we would capture that in the spreadsheet is what I was thinking.
Right. Yeah, we could add another row.
I think just add another row below, and maybe that would be um, activity description or something like that.
I'm sorry, I was typing, and I confess I wasn't fully following that conversation.
Just
Can you tell me what we need?
yeah. So just add another row below. Just insert a row below this row here, and then I think we should just call it generic activity description.
And that is something that the learner will also see.
Yeah. So
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Well, what we were talking about was that you would see it appear. You would see both the more information as well as the generic description. It would all appear in one.
Right, but I'm just saying it's something that's on the front end.
Yes.
Okay.
It would display. Finbert would see it. And this is really better. This is really more geared towards people who have never done this before. Obviously, if you've done it, if you've gone through the checklist and you're on your second one, then this is you'll know what to expect.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we can go in and add that later.
Okay.
Add that to My meeting note. Oops, wrong thing. I have so many tabs open. So one thing we want to do is.
I think I got you beat. I think I have about 3 times that many tabs open right now.
Yeah, you. Well, Matt, you always win.
Well, I need to start. I need to actually close a whole bunch of them, but it's always like, oh,
You
I'm
know,
gonna close that. I might come back to that one.
well, that's the so what I added. There's this thing called one tab, and when your computer is hosed and you have too many tabs open, you press that button. It collapses everything down into a bookmarklet page, so you don't lose them, and you can get back to them on this one page. But it closes everything.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it works great because I have the same problem. I get out of control. And actually closing Gmail works really well too because it uses a ton of RAM.
Yeah, but I need to know every time Outback Steakhouse sends me a coupon. I got to be aware of that instantly.
Right.
Okay. The other things that were added since last week are these sections below the blue line, and my understanding is that that's back-end stuff. And so I'm now out of my depth.
If you want me to, I can open up this same checklist and then share my screen of the
That
same
would be
thing.
lovely.
One moment.
You're recording this, right, Matt? Or does it get automatically recorded as a
Yeah,
part?
I started a while back. I
Okay.
was going to mention it, but I didn't want to interrupt.
Thanks. Do I need to stop sharing so that you can take over sharing?
No, I think I can do it in a second.
Okay.
I have so many tabs, but
I know.
that's not one I had open, so I had to kind of re-prompt myself. Okay, so shortly, I think I can go back to presenting for me. Is this me? Yeah, that's me. Okay. So what we were looking at, and how this list originally got started was, we kind of copied what somebody else had already started with their project, and we thought, oh, that's actually a good idea to kind of separate these out so we can see. Oh, sorry, I got distracted. There's this. I need to stretch this out, I think.
Is there a link with
text
this
in there, but
hosted anywhere? I don't think I have a copy of this.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is.
it's on the community page.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I just must have not added it to my list here.
So basically, this was for some reason, this row right here where I'm clicking got kind of messed up. It used to have other text in there, and I'm not sure how new text got in those spots. I don't know if that's a Google Sheets thing. But anyways, I can see if I can try to change it. Because it should have been actor and verb and object. So I'm not sure how that got messed up. So anyways, so this part below the blue line is the tin can part. So anything on this left side is kind of how the statement is structured, and then everything on the right is what we'll be filling in to make that happen. So this back. So I started just kind of filling in some of these slots, and there's a couple in red that there were usually questions. Some of them either had the question in it or there's a comment. If you hover over it, you can see. So obviously everything down here, that was just from the original template that we were borrowing. We may or may not ever use any of those. And in fact, completion was the only one below or in result, I think, that we actually built in there. So this is for a couple of reasons. I mean, for one, it'll just help me or anybody else who's doing the coding the statements to be able to just easily look at it and go, okay, what are we capturing here? Okay, so Pimpert viewed this URL, so I know what to put in and where it's going. And Rob is on this Hangout as well, so if he has any if Dave was here, I know Dave was going to be working on the some of the reporting, but Rob also kind of knows that back end of the LRS side of what what's a good way to kind of capture these so they can be reported and be consistent. So I kind of just started filling in all these boxes. So
That's good.
Anybody can add to this or edit.
Do you think we should wire up the first statement now, or is that premature? Do we need to work on the UI or the?
So I have the first one. Fimbert completed the manual checklist item. So I tested that out. It should be in the code that was on GitHub. I turned it off because I was testing. I didn't want to because I also was sending it to multiple LRSs, and one of them was Dave's, and I knew he was going to be using that to test his thing for his presentation. So I didn't want to start blowing up his sandbox with a whole bunch of Gnome did this, Gnome did that, Fimbert did this, Fimbert did that. So
yeah.
I turned it off while I was testing just because I didn't need to keep doing that part. But I tested it, it worked okay. I wanted to test it to make sure that it was working, and then I knew that later on I could start hooking more things into it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So where can we see the statement go?
So right now I set it to one of our free Swarm Cloud accounts and Dave's free Swarm Cloud account, or no, his is a paid Swarm Cloud account. But right now I just send it to those two, but I can send it to LearnShare or as many as we want to, I guess. I only saw it from our free account. Let me see if I still have that. Talk amongst yourselves while I do that for a second.
I'm wondering, Matt, if this would also be a good time to maybe transition into the database that you and Meg were telling me about yesterday. Or is that what you're going to pull up?
I'm sorry, say that again?
You and Meg were telling me yesterday about the database that
oh, yeah, the parse.
Yeah, is that this? Or
this is just showing the Swarm Cloud,
okay.
the LRS side. But yeah, I can kind of walk through that here.
Maybe maybe just kind of transition from this to that whenever you're ready.
So yeah, you can see I just kind of, and then at one point I forgot that this was still connected, and I kept hitting the button, and I came back here and I was like, oh, I just kept hitting it. So some of these are within like minutes of each other. So, and this is before I changed Gnome to Fimbert, so that's why it says Gnome. If I did it now, it should say Fimbert. But so basically, in the description, I just put this as a manual checklist item. But at some point, we can start filling in these blanks with things from the checklist that I have now. I don't remember the tab over here.
Yeah, I noticed that the first one was a manual checklist item, but once you check it, you can't uncheck.
Yeah, I did that on purpose for now. I will have to figure out a good way to work that, because I didn't want it to, you check it off, and then it sends a statement, and then you uncheck it, check it again. Somebody just playing around, just going check, 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 and suddenly they're completing that statement 10 times. So I wanted to have some way that, either it doesn't send it immediately, or you have to confirm, or some way of having it so it's not easily uncheckable and checkable again, or a big save button. Yeah, I had thought about something like that, like a sync button, like you do the things and then at some point you hit sync and it
I think it's okay. I don't think it matters. I mean, if it's checked or unchecked or whatever, that should be the statement that comes to the LRS. And so on the LRS side, we could filter out that status or whatever. So um, I wouldn't sweat that. That's not a big deal.
Okay, so see if there's something else I was going to say. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I was responding to Rob's chat there, not just talking to myself and laughing at invisible things. So, so yeah, if anybody wants to add elements to this, this is you know, a public shareable thing. So feel free to edit or make comments.
It looks like it's already filled out though. I mean, completed, viewed, answered, commented, completed, launched, attended. Those are all good. What needs to be done to those statements?
If anybody, because I was kind of doing it myself and just kind of thinking, oh, this maybe this will work. So if anybody wants to look at it, just kind of a second set of eyes to see, and especially ones like this one, attended. So this is, you know, Finbert's having a one-on-one with his manager, and attended seems more like a larger meeting or a conference or something. So attended, it doesn't quite seem right. So they don't have a met with or met in the registry that I could find. So
I guess we get to come up with it then.
well, it seems like that there should be something like it. So anytime I look in the registry and I don't find what I'm looking for, I think, am I doing this wrong? You know, like, am I thinking about it wrong, or is there some other word that I'm just not thinking of that would actually fit better? So
Well, and
somebody,
you could even say experienced. I mean, it's pretty generic, but I think attended is fine. I mean, you know, attended a meeting. That's something that you often do.
But this, so attended is defined already, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
And then, so yeah, so if anybody has any other uh, edits to make, like to descriptions, things like that, I some of them I just threw in a random description of what the thing was, but if it needs more verbosity, which is not a word I've ever used before, but you know, if it needs to be expanded on, then go ahead and add to that. Or
Well, let me ask you, why do you even need a description?
well, and Rob might be able to answer this a little better than me. From the depending on what the report shows and how it's set up on the LRS side and how someone might see that, you know, because if somebody's looking through and it says Finbert completed the checklist, they may not be able to see exactly what that is. So I'm not sure how that typically is used in LRSs or reports. In my own experience, I've used it occasionally, but just in my own custom stuff. So
yeah, I think you need. I think having it there is good. So when you pivot or something like that, because against the results, you have more verbosity than just the verb or what have you. So no, that's a good idea.
I'm just.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, good. I'm on a different laptop than normal, so I'm traveling today.
So what I was just thinking that the description is good because you can put it into the object, right? There's an additional storage area that is attached to the object, and the object being the learning item that you're taking or whatever. But and so maybe it's good for the spreadsheet, but it's not required. It's not part of the actual statement itself, and so it's kind of an optional thing. And so I probably wouldn't worry about us trying to store it anywhere as part of the prototype that we're creating, because it's like I said, it's optional. And the other piece of that is that in the LRS itself, there's still a lot of kind of talk about, how those items are going to be stored and in what kind of manner and that kind of stuff. So I think that's kind of an area that's still kind of under development. And so for that reason, too, I would just kind of shy away from worrying about storing it anywhere. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and we can think about how these are going to be written. Because when I started with the first checklist item, it was just the most basic. It was just active verb object, and that's it. Well, I did add the description in there, and it's fairly trivial to add the description, so I don't know if it's
right. Well, the one I would be more concerned about, and I see that these are all blanks, is the object and the object type here in the activity. So that needs to be.
The object type is activity, so these ones that have activity and then a right arrow, I just didn't want to just type activity, activity, activity all the way across.
Okay.
Some may not be. I don't know that much about different object types. But for most of the ones that we had, they were just activity. So same with this Finbert at Gnome Land. The email is going to be the same for Finbert all the way across. So I just, instead of just typing it out, I just put the right arrow there.
Oh, I see. So it's just going to be called activity, 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 though, right? I mean, because we could call it different things. Well, I guess activity is just the type of activity, right? But what's the name of the activity, right? So when Finbert completes something, it's Finbert completes checklist item?
That's where the definition in this case is. So anything I put in parentheses was what would be either. Actually, if it's in parentheses, I guess it was pulled from JavaScript. So in this case, the checklist item text. Oh, sorry, Rob. I think I didn't see your.
Oh, the text itself. Okay, so go to HR desk. So Finbert completes. Go to HR desk and Finbert completes. Finbert gets photographed for ID badge. Is that?
Yeah, you might be able to custom make a definition for some of these. In the case of like viewed. For the URL, it was just Finbert viewed that URL. And there may be another visited might be a better verb there, I don't know.
Well, clicked would be mine, but I don't think that is one. Because you don't know if they saw it or not. They just clicked on it, maybe.
Right, that's true.
Can I interrupt for a minute because I'm such a neophyte here. A few minutes ago we were talking about that everything is going to be an activity all the way across this row 13, 14. What other object types are there? Just because I don't even know what else we might conceivably have a learner do.
I don't totally know,
okay.
And I've looked. I've looked at it a little bit. I know that often. Well, actually, I know that in the TinCan.js library that I've been using, it automatically, if you don't specify an object type, it just automatically makes it activity, and that's what I've typically done just because it works. But
yep.
I haven't looked into the object types. Actually, I probably have, and I just can't remember. But yeah, you can look at the spec and see.
I want to say something around experienced might be another kind of type. But what you're experiencing is still an activity.
So according to this, it says, let's see, object type is a string, must be activity when present, optional in all cases.
Okay, I guess it's always an activity.
So I guess it is always activity. I may have looked at that at some point and then just forgot.
I so don't understand. Okay. If something's always an activity, why are we bothering to, why do we need to define it? But I guess they're planning for the future when it might not always be activity.
Maybe, and also, like I said, in the library that I'm currently using, I never specified anyways because it always automatically adds. So I could probably remove it from the checklist because it's not something we manually do.
Oh,
it was in the template we had, so I just left it.
Sure.
No, it's good, and actually, just to give you some kind of a point of context, this is part of a much larger effort to map out the with the IEEE. This is like an extension of that whole. It ties in with semantic web. It ties in with some other big pieces, and so that's kind of part of the protocol on how they defined it, and so that's why it has to be there.
Okay, so it may
Yeah,
for other systems it might actually be important to have.
exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Kind of from a bigger picture, I guess you could say.
It's a little bit past 12:30, so I'm thinking, Matt, you had some things in red. Do you want us to, uh, do you want the group to look at those and offer some feedback, or are those more like notes to yourself, or is it something you
It's
want to do right now?
typically there were questions for other people, so if you want to take a look at it whenever you get a chance, because you know what, I did this all kind of in one
Sure.
fell swoop, so you know, we talked about attended already, but some of these other ones, you know, if anybody has
Yep.
any other
Okay.
input.
Add that to the action items.
One question I had too. So you were using the QR code scanner button rather than the near field button. Um, do, is that just easier to do testing with, or are going to add a different button for near field, or is it the same, or is it different?
You're talking about the let me go to the you're talking about the QR button on the app
Yeah,
itself. I
yeah.
added the QR button that opens the scanner, and then the NFC is just automatic. So if you just scan a tag, it automatically detects. So that's just kind of built in. So as soon as you scan the tag, it just
Oh,
pops up.
okay. You don't have.
Yeah, there's no manual activity other than actually just tapping your phone.
Gotcha.
And right now, these are all the QR icons only because I was testing out the position of the icons. I'll probably do something different here with these, but that's why they're all the same icon. But
You know what I was thinking around this, and I wanted to give you this feedback as well, is that I think the check marks are still really valuable, but maybe have that QR code in next to the text perhaps, or as a separate column, or at the end of the text, or something.
yeah, we were still kind of thinking about how to kind of structure, and Meg is going to work on some mock-ups. I don't know if she had contacted you, Patrick, to talk about that. You know, you were talking about kind of wanted to see some visual mock-ups, so she was going to work on that. She is out of town for the next couple of days, but she may have time to start kind of putting some together in Photoshop, and we can kind of see what that might look like with different different icons in different places, and the workflow, and put together a little bit of a working interaction with the mock-up, just to kind of get a feel for how that might work.
Right. Well, so I'm just wondering, what should be our next steps, right? Like, what's our what would further our goal? Like, what can I work on, and is there an area that I could help you with on the checklist, or because I feel like we're getting really close to having that working prototype, right? Especially with the statements being sent back now.
Yeah, so I just updated the GitHub with the PhoneGap version just this morning, so it doesn't have a lot more. I was just working on it a little bit last night just to kind of fix some silly things that I had done on accident. And so I had last night kind of set it up so that when you tap on an item, it actually just let me see if this one, I can't remember if this one does. Okay, so now I just set it up with an alert, so when you tap on the item, it brings up that description, or the
Okay.
extra information. So this is pulling in that more info from parse. So
Okay.
I know you had talked about wanting to maybe work on some drop-down type things, and so this is set up so that if you want to work on any of that, or even if it is a pop-up, you can do whatever you think might be good there. So this is set up with the function and everything to pull that information in. So if that's something you're interested in working on, it should be mostly ready to go as far as the click event and pulling in the information. So I don't know, Mike.
Matt, can I jump in and say that I think Patrick has a great idea that we should actually get some people assigned to tasks and really get this thing even closer. I'm wondering if we might not have time to show your parse database, but instead, could you show us the Trello board that you created, and we could see if, at least among those of us on the call, if we think this would be a good way to help people in the group keep track of what is and isn't done yet?
Yeah. Are you familiar with Trello, Patrick? I don't know. Rob, you probably heard Megan talking about it. I don't know if you've ever used it.
I am not, no.
Okay, so Trello is a web app. It's also native apps on all devices pretty much now. It's a free service. There's a paid version, but we use the free version because it does everything we need it to do. So let me see if I can go out to just... so Trello has... it's set up with boards. So you have a board, and you start with an organization, and then you have a board that's assigned to that organization, and within the board you have lists, so it can work like checklist items. So let me go into the one I created for xAPI Gnome. So this is the task board, and then on the left side is Matt's task. I just made this is a list, and then you just make cards in there and so you can use it in several different ways, and we use it sometimes for agile style project management. Sometimes you can use it for a to-do list, and you can color code the cards in different ways. So I just put in some of the different things I need to do in here, and then we use color coding to mark when things are done. I also do have a done row over here just to keep them visible, but you can just color code things that mean different things. I put these in red because a couple things I need to fix. But if anybody's interested in using Trello this way, I set up this board to be, I think it's public. I may need to check to make sure it's not organization view only, but I can make it public so that anybody can see it, but I can invite people to the board to be able to actually have their own list. We can all kind of see what's going on, and so if anybody's interested in doing that, you can sign up for a Trello account. Like I said, it's free, and then we can connect to that. And it's just nice because you can just kind of drag and drop these pieces around, and each card inside you can add a description, you can add a checklist inside. I think I have one down here that has a checklist in it, maybe. Well, no, I guess not. But you can, add sorts of different pieces to it. So it's just a handy way of kind of keeping track of our stuff and having everybody be able to see it. So right now I think everybody here at Torrance Learning is part of the board. I think I'm the only one that's actually using it currently, but I think I'm the only one that has like tasks that can be kind of laid out pretty easily, but it's just a nice way to...
I'm sorry, Matt.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I could definitely see having lists for people, but I could also see having lists for the different components of this project. So there could be the reporting list, and then the cards underneath that, and the user interaction list, and the cards under that, and then that way people could see what there is to do, stick their own head on it. Oh, yours doesn't have your head because it's a given that it's you. But another feature of this board is that you could that you can sort of be assigned or else claim a task by putting yourself as the member on that card. Oh, there, Matt just did it. Thanks, Matt.
Mhm.
So, if there's a whole list of things that need to be done for reporting, people can just check the board, they self-assign themselves to it, and that way everyone else knows, oh, okay, that's being worked on. I don't need to focus on that. I'll pick this card that doesn't have anyone working on it.
And you
And
can and
yeah,
you can easily filter by, like if you just want to see the ones that are assigned to you, you can just kind of filter that out, and just kind of easily. And once you work with it, it becomes easy to kind of move around and see what's going on. And we, I had thought this board is called tasks. We could actually have a separate board that has other lists in it if we wanted to. So
It's
you
like
can use it in several different ways.
it's like a really cool checklist.
yeah, pretty much. It fits their motif.
Yeah, a checklist within a checklist within a checklist.
I would say, from my perspective, I would appreciate if we did something like this because I don't know enough to know what needs to be done. But if someone who does know enough makes the task, I might be able to say, oh, that's something I can do, and I'd work on it. Does that make sense to others on the call?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. I would I'll sign up and throw my name in there.
And is this, Matt, if it's public, we can just put the link to it on the Google community page, right? The
Yeah,
xAPI Gnome page?
yeah, and you can set it up, I think, so that anybody can view it, and then only people who are part of the organization can edit. So then,
Okay.
so if Patrick, you sign up, then just let me know, and I can add you to the organization. In this case, the organization is xAPI Gnome, so it's not an actual organization, but that's just what they call it. So that way you can edit, but not just random people off the street can't come in and start messing up our boards and putting not safe for work GIFs in our, which you can do, and that's occasionally we do GIF bomb some of these cards because you can put in animated GIFs in there. But I won't be Craig and just throw as many as I can in there. So if you're listening, Craig, feel free. It's actually pretty funny. Especially when you don't expect it, you just click on a card and suddenly there's something jumping at you. So.
We've got a few minutes left and a couple more agenda items to address, one of which is the parse database, which I don't know, Matt, how long you think you might need to help us understand that? Is that something we should table until we have more time on another week?
Probably so, and I added Patrick as a collaborator yesterday, but if anybody is interested in also being part of that, so they can add things to their own checklist, and maybe we could have a specific separate hangout for people who are interested in learning some of that, if it's not self-evident, because it's not that hard to figure out, but if you're just curious to know how we're using it for this particular project, it may be helpful. So.
Okay. So some of the things, and I don't know if we have a quorum here. I don't know if xAPI Gnome really needs a quorum, but we do need to present our demo to the design cohort, and there was some suggestion that maybe we go April 2nd or April 9th. Is there, does anyone on the phone call now have a specific reason why one of those weeks wouldn't work?
Not for me.
Okay.
And
Patrick?
we're just talking about a virtual meeting, right?
Yeah, this is just for the one on the Thursdays meetings with Craig.
Thursday meeting, yeah.
Okay, Rob can't do the 2nd, so maybe we'll put out the 9th to the group.
April 9th.
Yeah.
Let me look. looks like I'm pretty wide open. I'm okay there.
Okay, so let's put out April 9th. Like I said, I feel a little odd just summarily saying it will definitely be April 9th with so many people not here today, but I think if we don't get some kind of date and work towards something, it'll just be too easy to keep saying, oh, well, we'll figure it out later. So we'll
Right.
work toward April 9th. The next thing we'll need to figure out is exactly how and what this presentation might include. So my thought is we might want to get another week under our belts and see where we stand before we make that final decision. Or should we outline it now so that we know what we better get done in the next 2 weeks?
I think outlining it now is more valuable. I mean,
Okay.
after seeing everyone else's presentation, it's probably just going to screw us up from, what we didn't do kind of perspective.
Yep, I gotcha.
So I think, we'll do our own thing, and we'll be as prepared as possible, and if we need to, pivot on something, we may or may not have time to do so, but at least we're ready.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know that Meg had said that she wanted to start working on those mock-ups so that at least we'll have something visual to show there, and if we have the app working a little bit more, maybe even incorporate a few of those mock-up items, we might not be able to, well, it is a video hangout, so we might be able to demo some of the video of the app working and just say, okay, here's where we are right now.
As close as we are, I think we should plan to include it at this point, because I think it's going to be totally doable.
Yeah, I think barring any serious injuries on any of our parts, we'll probably be able to get something functional by then.
You don't live close to a lot of buses, do you?
I live in a bus farm, but other than that, I think I'm okay.
Okay, good.
I don't get that joke.
It's not. Yeah, I don't either. It wasn't really much of a joke. On my end, anyways. I don't know.
So I'm going to share my screens that I kind of started taking notes at the beginning and then I sort of dribbled off in the middle there, so I apologize for my inability to participate in a conversation and take notes. But maybe this will be a good place to say specifically what we're going to put in our demo for April 9th. So April 9th demo to Design Cohort. Do you like how I have to talk out loud when I type?
I don't see any.
Want to show a mock-up.
Yep.
User interface, and that's going to come from. So, Patrick, are you okay if Meg kind of takes what you've started and runs with it, or do you feel some ownership of it, or?
No, please do. I'm not a graphic designer, as you could tell. In fact, if I was, I'd probably be a really poor graphic designer.
What else do we think we want? So how demoable in this context will it be to actually like tap a phone to an NFC tag or click on a URL link? I mean, do we video someone doing that, or do we just show what it looks like on the web version rather than a native app? I think with this.
I think we could either just have somebody who has a webcam connected or is on a device like for this meeting. I was thinking of showing some of the functionality on my phone by connecting with my iPad and just filming myself doing it. So we could do something like that, or we could pre-make a video and just show that video of it working, one way or the other.
I think a pre-made video would be good, and then if we can demo part of it live, that would be valuable as well. But so I'm thinking, you have a Gnome? Didn't you guys get a Gnome shipped to your place there?
Yep.
So
Yeah, Megan has one of our gnomes in Florida. She stole.
she took the gnome with her?
It's truly a traveling gnome.
It is a traveling. We have 4 of them, so she just took one of the 4.
Gotcha. And I have a gnome here as well.
So
Um,
we're rich in gnomes.
it's just a garden variety one. It's not anything special, but
Wait, I know I was going to say garden variety. Good one, Patrick.
So I'm thinking what the video can show is maybe that item in the story, right, where he has where Finbert has to go and tap the gnome with the application or whatever, and it doesn't have to be long but it could be funny as well. I mean, I think if it's got some element of humor or whatever, that would be good. But really, just like a, I don't know, 30-second clip at the most or whatever.
Kind of funny. Yeah,
Uh,
kind of like
uh,
sort
and
of
I don't.
different about. Yeah, sorry, Patrick. Go.
Well, I would do it here, but I don't have an NFC tag to show, so I need to order some of those.
Matt, do you think that's something we could put together?
Yeah, I think absolutely. And maybe we could have have a video of several different people, different places. So Patrick, you may be able to film a short segment, so we can just show different people in different places with the gnome.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, yeah, we could do that. And he's in Alaska, right, fishing. So if we can maybe incorporate, like I said before, kind of incorporate some different elements from within the story or whatever. That way, kind of makes it cohesive and nice.
Mm-hmm. I like that too. And now, do we need to demonstrate any of the reporting capabilities, or is that getting ahead of ourselves?
I don't think for the purposes of this one in a couple weeks that we would need to do that. Perhaps during the boot camp or whatever we can touch on that, but I don't think that should be our focus.
Okay. I didn't know if, since this was about xAPI, if we need to kind of show how it would actually work on the
I
back
think
end.
maybe at minimum you might want to just have a statement viewer that shows the statements coming in, but not a sophisticated, full on, just the activity stream, so we can prove that, oh look, this is actually doing the things that we're talking about doing.
Yeah, and I think if we just mention that it's reporting correctly, we can leave it at that, right? Because there's nothing special in the way it reports. So that's kind of the. Then the one other section that I don't see here is really, I think what we should expand on is what's the problem that we're trying to solve here.
Mm-hmm. So we should present the problem probably even at the beginning.
I would say so, even before the UI or whatever, and really describe what the problem is. I mean, we're all kind of in training, sort of, so we kind of know what the problem is already, but a lot of people aren't going to understand what the problem is.
Yep, I think that's very smart.
That way, it kind of frames it, frames it in the
Makes perfect sense. I'm excited. I'm excited for April 9th. So,
one thing too, not to bring us off track, but I did put together a short deck that I sent over. I don't know if you saw that, but if you want, you can include a link to it here.
Okay.
It was just a real brief, my kind of first stab at just putting together an outline as far as what's going to be presented.
Oh, cool. I'm sorry. I probably should have looked at that first. That's been posted on the xAPI page, the GNOME page.
I think I
Okay.
posted it on there, or maybe I replied to you. Maybe I replied to you directly. I don't. I think I I think I posted it as part of a reply to something that you posted.
Oh, I think I
Okay.
found it. Yeah, it was here.
I
I'll post it
apologize.
in the chat here.
No, it's no big deal. We're still early on. We got plenty of time. It was just, you know, there it is. Yeah, Team Gnome presentation.
So,
And feel free to do whatever. It's just, I just jotted down some thoughts that I had in my head, so I just wanted to put them on paper.
so what I'm thinking is some of the action items I was able to kind of pull out, I should say, during our meeting. There's the additional activity description that Patrick suggested, and that is now in the API statements page right here. So someone will need to fill that out, or someone's, doesn't have to be one person. And Matt's also got some comments in red that he could use some feedback. And then we need to ready for the presentation. And what else did I miss that we need to take action on in the next week?
Do you want to? I guess you could just mention maybe Trello. Get Trello set up. Is this general group action items, or do you want to?
Well, what I'm thinking is like, I do you know that expression about, oh, you need help moving a piano? I'll get the bench. This is kind of me.
Oh, okay.
I'll get ready for the presentation with a video by setting up the video list on Trello.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, if you want to, yeah, that'll work. And I know that Mega's going to be working on the mock-up. I'll be working on just some more. Well, and actually, one of the things that we're doing also is just Internet of Things. So we have some beacons that I have just barely started to play with. So that's still another thing I've got on my list of things to do.
Yeah, let's maybe tackle that after the presentation.
Yeah.
Depending on how far we get, I think if we can just keep going with the checklist app itself and get it to the point where it could be demoed, I think that would be the priority. And I saw you had a long list of different things, but I think
some of them are small tasks, some of them are larger. I kind of just threw them all together in one big lump.
Yeah, no, and that's cool. But I think just as far as purposes of the demo, it would be if we could just work towards the demo at this point, that would be the priority.
Well, they're probably not mutually exclusive.
No, and they don't care what we show, right?
Yeah.
When we do the demo, it would be cool to demo something, and I think it's almost there anyway, so it's probably going to be a couple more days or whatever, and then it'll be ready.
Cool.
And then maybe if I can meet with you later on, Matt, just to do a few things around the kind of getting the development set up, then I can jump in there and give you a hand with some things as well.
Yeah, just let me know.
Okay.
Ooh, look at this great list. So we did a pretty good job. We got through most of what I think was Meg, our typical facilitator, was hoping we'd get through. And I think Matt will come back and look at your parse database on a different day.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to sign off and bid you all a good day.
All right.
Okay.
thank you very much for
Thanks,
doing
everyone.
that half of it.
Good meeting. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick, for showing up. You're one of the few, the brave.
No worries. I'm a team player. Just remember that.
All right, we'll be in touch.
Have a good
Okay.
one.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.